I mean, I had that button ready to go.
Dang. Yeah. Check it.
Oh, Mikey never misses a step.
Hello and welcome to another Woodshop podcast with Mike Coffey of Coffey Custom Builds, Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks, and Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop. You can find us all, as well as the podcast, on Instagram and YouTube.
Welcome to episode 147 of another Woodshop podcast, where we remind you to forward this podcast to 10 friends or you'll have bad luck for forever. That's right.
For forever.
Those annoying chains are back for forever.
Is there any way to like switch your luck back if you don't?
We can change it up. How about this? Forward this podcast to 10 friends or you'll have bad sex forever. Sorry.
What if you already have the bad sex?
Clearly you didn't
Forever.
forward this podcast to 10 friends. Or you sent it to 10
That's
people
on you, dog.
thought were your friends. But
It's on you.
Sorry,
news
Kayla.
break. Yes, blame the podcast for that, Dan.
Oh, I will.
Anywhere I can distribute the blame, I will do that.
Speaking of bad sex, Mike.
Yeah, speaking of that, big thanks to our patrons. No, we got a whole pile of new patrons over the last couple of weeks. So big
A kit and caboodle.
A kit and caboodle.
You sure you got it filtered right, sorted right this time?
30% chance. 30% chance. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, patrons, and here's who they are: Phil Plant, Melinda Coons, Steve Latarola. I probably should have pre-read these because I went straight to Ariel. Steve Latarola, Matt. Yeah, these words are hard. Why are all these crazy patrons joining? No, Matt Maynard, Bob Ryan at Bob Ryan Studio, and then Max Reed at Reed Designed Past Tense Co. Big thanks to.
That was going to Reed's Designs Tampa's.
Okay. Justin loves that joke, but he's not a patron anymore. And he probably doesn't listen.
Maybe that's why he's not a patron.
Right.
From all the jokes about his name.
No, Justin loves. We actually had a phone call earlier. We were talking about
I missed
I'll let
him.
announce. So
I was hoping he was going to be at Workbench Con.
I was really bummed out he wasn't there.
Yeah.
I know he's very busy at the fire department.
I was going to pretend like that he was there and I forgot about it.
That's Dan's move.
So thanks for ruining that.
You're from Lauderdale, right? Fort Lauderdale? No. Rustic Science in Fort Lauderdale. No. Big thanks to our VIP patrons: Alex Copajohns, Bill Burkle, Braden, Daniel Bryson, Jake Miller, Justin with Calvary Creations, Christian Tung, Malcolm at Bossa Nova Woodworks, Matt Maynard, Melinda Coons, Michael Flicker, Mike Lydon, Scott Holland, Square Splinter, Steve Latarola, and Tim from Lock City Woodworks. Y'all,
I think dope. I bought
thanks so much.
At least 3, maybe 4 of those patrons drinks at Workbench Con. So if you want a free drink from DD or any one of us, need to go to Workbench Con next year.
Honestly, the joke's on everyone that didn't just take a shot and was like, hey, I'm a top tier patron, because I just would have bought you a drink.
Yeah. I have no way to verify it.
Pause.
Okay.
Actually, pause.
Yes. Pause.
Pause my
I'm
recording.
Stopping mine right now.
Oh, I paused mine already.
Yep.
But
that is an issue. Okay. I'm fixing it now.
Was nothing recording?
No, it was recording, but it was recording off my laptop. So
good catch.
Let me listen to it real quick. The audio wave was super bizarre. So let me listen to it real quick.
Glad I'm not editing this week. Planned it.
Actually, my audio sounds fine.
Okay.
All right. So sorry about
we should
that,
do
Pete.
like
Let me do a count in.
We all hit pause, right?
I hit stop.
I hit pause. Is there a
fine.
difference?
I hit pause.
There's no difference for you guys. It's the same thing. I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1 and hit record. 3, 2, 1, record. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna at the count of 3, I want us all to clap really loud.
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, clap. Perfect. That's not gonna work well at all because we're in different parts of the world.
We'll figure it out.
I'll get it edited. It's
Oh,
fine.
here's how you're gonna do it. Mike, say your name.
Penis breath.
Dan, say your name. That's Dan. Make a sound,
Dorothy does laugh.
just so there's no delay when we're recording.
Okay. Where'd we leave off?
Penis breath from Penis Breath Custom Woodworks.
No, it was something Pete was saying. It was really inappropriate though, whatever Pete was saying.
I thought somebody said something bad. I was like, oh God, what happened?
Oh no, it was real quick behind the curtain. I was recording with the wrong input device, so the audio of me probably sounds a little better now. But to offset it, I'm going to make Dan and Pete have squirrel voices up until that point, so it'll be hilarious. I'm editing this week.
Just throwing the chipmunks in there.
Yeah, just the chipmunk.
Yeah, just
voice
work it in there.
modulation. Pete was talking about something, but I was so distracted I didn't hear anything about it.
I was
because
saying how the
realized I screwed up
economy
podcast.
was, but it's not worth it now.
Oh yeah, let's go deep into the economy. That's gripping.
When I was
Loads
young,
of fun.
interest rates were blah
Loads.
blah blah. Speaking of loads,
Speaking of loads, we just got back from having loads of fun at Workbench Con, so we probably should recap that. I mean, normally we'd talk about what's on our bench, and we'll do that. Don't worry, baby birds, we'll feed you. But first, we're going to talk about. No, you know what? Let's actually listen to these questions because I think those will prime us to get into our Workbench Con talk. So let's talk about our what's on our bench this week.
questions topic. Then what's on our bench? That's crazy.
No, let's do what's on our bench now.
Oh, okay. Oh,
No, actually, Pete, do you want to do questions first?
I don't know, man. I'm really
Yeah, questions first. Let's really
do
throw a
questions
wrench
first.
into it.
Let's go. Let's go crazy. Let's go questions first. Dan, I'm going to need you to take notes because this episode's crazy.
Crazy.
It's Braden with Little Bug.
What's up, guys? It's Braden with the LBW, and my question is, shocker, WorkbenchCon related. So there's a lot of content creators, there's a lot of makers, there's vendor reps, there's a lot of people in the space that all went to WorkbenchCon. So my question is, who really kind of blew your socks off? Like, is there a brand that was showing off something really cool, or was there a maker or a content creator that you think is like a real up and comer? What was kind of your takeaway? Who really surprised you there? And then as a bonus question, getting back from Atlanta, it has been very cold and dreary here in Omaha. So what I would like to know also is, what hot beverage specifically do you guys enjoy in the shop? Because I'm trying to find something to just like really start my day off right, really get me going. Hope you guys have a great day. Hope you guys have a great podcast.
Pete,
See ya.
Oh,
hit us with that meat, Pete. That's a new bit I'm trying to get on the show.
It better be Polish sausage.
Kabasi.
Hit us with the meat, Pete. Go.
So I had
They
a
always call him
conversation
Meaty
about
Petey.
Meaty P.
That's what his nickname at Workbench Con. If
Yeah,
you
it
missed
was.
out, you can't.
Everyone
call him
was
that.
saying it. Yeah.
Meaty Petey!
Everyone.
Yeah,
Meaty Pete. Meaty Nick.
And then my catchphrase the whole time was "Nice to meet you," and then I'd hit him in the face with a kabasi.
Smash him with a ribeye, like a 25-ounce ribeye, and it's just torn to shreds by the end of the Workbench Con. It's just like, and everyone has some sort of poisoning from raw meat.
Why did you tenderize this ribeye with people's faces?
What is happening?
I don't know.
So
Weird hair sticking in it.
I had a conversation about this topic with Jeff from Two Moose, and it was about like, what has been like your big takeaway? Because last year I remember having like a big moment of like, whoa, I'm doing that part wrong. I need to fix it.
Life.
This year there was a lot of little things, and Jeff put it the best for me. It was a lot of affirmations of things that like it was like, oh yeah, I should be hitting that harder, or yeah, I should be focusing on that more. It was a lot of like little nudges to get me back on track. Cause I think a lot of us, we hear everyone's success stories. Everyone's like, yeah, you got to post shorts. And another person's like, you don't want shorts on your channel. And another person's like, yeah, shorts are the best. And everyone's got these different opinions.
Are you talking
about
about the YouTube platform, or are you talking about shorts in general? Like,
yep.
I'd rather wear pants or nothing
board
at all.
shorts.
Pants or shorts was a big thing, but I don't want to get into that. That's really inflammatory topics right there. I don't want to talk about that. But as far like, there's so many different things that are working for people that won't necessarily work for everyone. We get back from WorkbenchCon and tend to kind of split off and all these different things that we think are going to work because they're working for someone else. And it's hard to do multiple things. So it helped me kind of niche it back down. And like one thing that like, and know that I'm saying this in the most humble possible way, but like this year when I went to WorkbenchCon, I felt like a lot more people knew me. Whether it was just I've grown my account, but also like I've just been very active with talking to anyone I can. And I remember talking with Keith Johnson about this. Like I get slammed with messages all day. He barely gets any. His account is triple mine. It's because like he doesn't really like ask like a lot of like engaging questions, or people maybe are intimidated to reach out to him because he's a large account. I do this stupid thing called ask questions, where people just hammer me with their own like opinions or answers or whatever. So like, anyways, long story short, I felt like a lot more welcome and be able to walk up to anyone, and people were walking up to me. And the biggest thing was I felt like between the podcast, people I met on the podcast and people I knew from the community, I could have walked up to anyone. And I did walk up to literally almost anyone that I considered to be like a mentor, someone like I want to be like and learn from, and just start a conversation with them. And I know we always say like, you can walk up to anyone. It's, everyone's human, whatever, doesn't matter what size, but like, I've built the relationships over the last year that allowed me to just walk up to like Brad or Eric or Mike. I'm very shy about talking to Mike, and like talk to them about what they're doing. And it felt really nice this year. This year felt like really like welcoming and open, and all the little tidbits is what really added up for me. It wasn't like one major thing. It was just like, wow, this year, my big thing that I walked away with was like, wow, this community, I can be a part of this community. Like I'm more than just like a part of it. Like I'm starting to graduate slowly into like this echelon of woodworkers and makers that I used to idolize. I am the community. But it really felt like this time around that like, wow, like I'm friends with the people I've watched for some of them for a decade, like idolize. And now I have them on speed dial. That's like a thing. It used to be a thing, whatever. But yeah, it was like more just an awakening for me. Like, yeah, I worked hard at this, and I might not have a huge YouTube presence or whatever, but it might not be what I took away from the event, but I'm able to lean on this community that much more reliably because of what I've built over the years. And that's kind of my big takeaway. As far as a hot beverage, if it's pre-Christmas, a hot toddy. But and I'm done working power tools, I'll make a hot toddy once in a while. Coward. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. And aside from that, a hot coffee, man, you can't beat a hot coffee. It's the best. Dan, what about you? What was your big mind-blowing event at work?
I had one big mind-blowing event. I do agree with you on how like more people knew me. It was really fun and just kind of overwhelming, not overwhelming, humbling. Walking through the conference and having a dozen people walk up to you and say, hey, I love your content. I've been following you for, such and such years. I'm so stoked to meet you. It's like, wow. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I was standing in the hallway right after Jason Hibbs and Keith Johnson's class. And I was just talking to, I think I was talking to Nick Brim. I think you were there, Pete. Yeah, you were there. You were there with Emma. You were talking to somebody else.
Always there.
But Steve Ramsey, woodworking for mere mortals, made like a beeline over to me. I didn't see him until he got right up on me. And he said, hey, I just wanted to come over and introduce myself. And he knew me. He's, Daniel Dunlap. I was like, what? Steve Ramsey came to me and wanted to introduce himself to me? What the hell? What is this? I was blown away. Even when he left, Nick was like, did that really just happen? So
I had that moment.
That was my one big moment. It was surreal for me.
Dude, because, I totally forgot about that. But like I had that moment with Jimmy. Jimmy walked up to me to shake my hand while I was talking to people. And I was like, did Jimmy just leave his crowd to say hi to me? I didn't want to approach him because like he's busy. I'll get him eventually, say hi, see if he remembers me. He shook my hand and I damn near shed a tear. And later I told him about it. Like it it meant so much to me that you walked up to me and said hi. Blew my mind.
Mhm.
You know, like they say, don't meet your heroes. No, meet them. They're great.
Steve Ramsey's like the account that like we probably all started watching when we first started woodworking, right? He's been doing it forever. You know, he's king of DIY. So it was just really, really special moment for me. I'm sure it's probably not the same for him, but I will put that in my pocket and save it forever. And obviously, hot beverage is hot chamomile tea.
Hot chelada.
For reasons. Mike, what say you?
His question was like big takeaways, right?
Yeah.
A big mind, like, yeah.
Mind-blowing moments, big takeaways.
I think the big takeaway for me from there was I got a lot of really great feedback from friends who have very large YouTube channels, because I'm really trying to grow my YouTube channel right now. Like, that's my focus. They gave me some very good feedback. So the big takeaway from Workbench, well, there's two big takeaways. The one big takeaway was like a lot of really great advice. Almost none of it was the same from anyone, so you kind of have to take things with a grain of salt. But it was like it was a bunch of great advice, like on how to grow my YouTube channel, which was something I really wanted to get out of there. Like working on titles, working on thumbs, planning videos better, having a story. Story is so important. You know, I've filmed all my YouTube videos in the past from like, you cut a piece of wood and then you glue a piece of wood and then you take this other piece of wood, you glue this, and it's very like utilitarian, and like I have not had story arcs in my YouTube videos, and that's like so important. And like I have the ability to do that. I need to start doing that. So a lot of growth in terms of that. A lot of people who have these big YouTube channels asking a lot of questions like, why does anyone put any time in Instagram? And it's like, it's a really good question, actually. Like, why does anyone put time in Instagram? Like, it just doesn't pay. And it's just like, it just doesn't make, so it's more and more, a bit more and more like kind of not pivoting out of Instagram. Like Instagram's important to me because of the community and some things like that. But like the amount of time that I do give it compared to what comes out of it is just like, I think it's just hard to let go of something that I've spent so much time in, and I've, grown a decent following over there. But ultimately, like, what's that following doing for me when at any time Instagram can just kind of like flip a switch and then, oh, look, for 3 months, my posts are going to 10,000 people. It makes no sense if you have 100,000 followers and your posts get to 10,000 people. It doesn't matter anymore. So I learned a lot of that stuff. And then the other big takeaway was COVID-19. I got COVID-19 from Workbench Con, so that was cool.
Was it 19 or it wasn't like 18 and a half or anything like that?
No, I got the full COVID-19 experience. It's amazing for the second time. So, yeah, anyway, it was a lot of, for me, I was seeking out some very specific information from people. I talked to a lot of people with big accounts, and yeah, I had a lot of fun time with people. It was really great. So, it's a great event. Solid. It's a bit much. It's very, very expensive, I think. I think it's extremely expensive. I think that it's hard for me to justify as I get older, like that much partying, but also like if you kind of go to bed earlier,
like before 3,
you're missing out on the really important stuff. I feel like the most important stuff happens later on.
But like,
I think the better conversations.
Not too many amazing things happen after 4
a.m.
No, 4 a.m. is very late though, Pete.
The birds come up
pretty late.
The birds come up.
So like
the sun starts chirping.
Like all the classes, I took a couple classes this year. I didn't take a lot. I mean, I took like 2, and I'm not talking down to the classes, like the classes, there's a lot of classes that have a lot of great benefit for people. I know that people went to other classes and they were like Anne's closing ceremony, people were crying, I guess. And then there was classes where Chris Zepp's class was supposed to be very good. After hearing people coming out of them, I was like, man, I wish I had gone and seen that. I heard, but like, I didn't really, it's not really why I went there. It's not why I went there. So
I heard
like a
really
lot of
good things about Chris Zepp's class.
Really it was like how to work with brands, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a good grasp on that. So I'm sure he's doing really great with that. Like, there's no question. Like, Chris is crushing it. He's crushing it on YouTube. I'm sure he has stuff to offer, but that wasn't why I went to Workbench Con. I went to Workbench Con to focus on my YouTube channel. Really, that was the main reason. So that's what I actually
wanted to see some more classes this year, but I just like you're talking about like not going to classes because you have these great conversations. And I think that's what happened to me is I wanted to like go see John's class, go see Brad's class, but I was in the middle of such good conversations with people that like I didn't want to walk away. I was getting way better information, not necessarily way better, but what I really wanted to talk about at the time. And it was hard to just be like, hey, okay, well, this is great. Let's put a pin in this. Talk about it later at the bar. I'm gonna go take a class, you know. So I just stayed and was like, all right, let's get what I can out of this because this is awesome. But yeah, definitely take some classes if you go. But
yeah, you should take more classes than 2. I mean, I didn't take enough. That was kind of silly. But the next question is from Kimani.
Kimani.
Hey guys, welcome back from Workbench Con. I hope you're all feeling better and a bit more rested than we all were during the convention. I must say this year was way more exhausting than last year, and I did a lot of running around last year. It was also a bit surreal because there were people who, you know, I'd been talking to for years that I met for the first time, and there were people I'd started talking to this year who recognized me. So it was very, like I said, it was a very surreal moment, you know, people just like, hey, you know, I've seen you on the internet kind of thing. But anyway, you know, I took some classes this year. I talked to a lot of people, got some perspective on things I want to do this year. So my question is, what's the biggest insight that you maybe got this year that you're going to try to incorporate into your work? And did that happen inside the classroom or talking with people outside the classroom? Thanks. Bye.
Dan?
So one of the biggest insights I got, and it's only because I went to the one class. So going back to what Mike was talking about, maybe go to more than one class. But like I said, I went to Jason Hibbs and Keith Johnson's class about how to film everything with your phone. Even though, like, I think I have a pretty strong grasp of how to film stuff, I put a lot of weight on not doing YouTube or not doing long form content because I feel like I have to use my big, awesome camera. Like, no, you don't have to use the big, awesome camera. You can use the phone. Everything those cameras can do, the phone can do these days. You don't need to use a lot of equipment. So I'm going to focus on that a little bit more. It won't be that way whenever Isaiah comes back because he does use his quote unquote big awesome camera, but
he doesn't use your awesome big camera.
No, he's got his own.
Yeah.
But it was nice to hear their journey without using a lot of equipment. So if you're letting something like that hold you back, if you're thinking, man, I could do this if I had a bigger, better camera, you don't need it.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Can I make an addendum to your statement too?
Absolutely.
Don't make the most important thing is to make the content. Don't let a device be the thing that holds you back. And that's what Dan's saying.
Yeah.
Whatever equipment you have that you're the most comfortable with making the content with, use that thing. Don't use the thing that someone tells you to make with, because the point is yeah, you can just make a very successful YouTube channel on an iPhone. I mean, look at Jason and Keith. I mean, you just can do it. But if that means that you are more comfortable on a DSLR or a more expensive device, use that too. That's all.
Well, the only reason I don't
get the content
use mine a lot is because like there's extra steps for editing and stuff. You got to get the footage off the camera onto the computer, open it up in Lightroom or whatever you're using. Whereas like if you shoot it on the phone, it's all right there. Phone, few apps, boom, post it, you're done. So just kind of cutting out the middleman a little bit. Yes, the quality is better from my, it's not necessarily DSLR, it's a mirrorless camera. So anyway, yeah, that was my one big takeaway, I guess. Pete?
One of my big takeaways was from a conversation with Scotty and Suman. Scotty Walsh and Suman, I'm blanking on Suman's last name, but just search his first name.
Smith.
Sure. And
Alvarez.
we're having just a really good conversation about like around YouTube, and they're talking about like A/B testing, and we were there with John from Lincoln Street too, but I was mainly talking to them, and Suman at some point just goes, don't like, I forget exactly what he said, but essentially the gist was, don't get like tunnel vision with this event. Like those brands that he was pointing at the convention center, those brands aren't going to pay the bills. They're great to know. They're gonna help you in the journey, but they're not the ones that are gonna help you on YouTube. Because at some point, if you're growing on that platform, you can't just get tunnel vision about working with woodworking brands. You're gonna work with HelloFresh. You're gonna work with a video game, whatever. Because and he said this, and I was like, this makes so much sense. If you work with a this color tool brand, they're gonna, Dan, you dealt with this. They're gonna hit you with, hey, can you revise this? Can you do this slightly differently? Can you include more of this tool? We feel you didn't stress enough about this thing. These other brands that are like video games, mortgage, whatever, like some website, they just want a 60-second ad read or 30-second ad read. They're less likely to be like, well, can you work more of our equipment into your job? Like, they're just gonna be like, you did the 60-second ad read? Hey, it's there. And a 10-minute video. Great, here's your check. So it made a lot of sense. It's another one of those things that like you think about, but you needed someone to just kind of like nudge you and be like, hey, like focus a little wider, not just this one thing. And that really helped out a lot. I also went to his how to grab your audience in 10 seconds or less class as well. That was pretty good. He was another one, Suman's class. And it was another one of those, like a lot of little tidbit tricks, but it was just more like, hey, maybe move the camera so it's not the angle that we're used to seeing the thing from. Maybe get real low or get real close, or an angle that no one usually looks from if you're just standing there watching someone do a thing. And I'm like, damn it, that makes so much sense. And I don't actively think about it. So it was all these little things. And I'm going to shout him out because Suman really did just give me a lot of these little tidbits. And he actually made a huge impression on Emma. They were talking for like an hour. While I was kind of like floating around and talking to some people around him, but really good info. He's right. You got to think broadly, because if this is something you're serious about, look at all these large brands. They're working with, other companies that have nothing to do with woodworking, but they're able to work that seamlessly into their videos.
Yeah, I was just watching a Jimmy DiResta video yesterday, and he dropped a life insurance ad read in his video. So you don't have to just work with woodworking brands, that's for sure.
Yeah. You gotta pay the bills.
We all kind of make fun of them. We talk about, the war of tanks or whatever, but hey man, if it's paying the bills.
Yeah. Or missile mortgage or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Missile mortgage.
Red
missile
Rocket
reverse
mortgage.
mortgages.
Yeah.
Red Rocket reverse mortgage.
Circle space.
All right. Mike, have you talked about this yet?
I want to talk about the brands thing. I had so many conversations with smaller accounts, and they are so focused on working with brands. It's crazy to me. I really would suggest you build a content like portfolio before you really these were not big accounts. I think they have it a bit backwards. I think what happened is people think that like working with brands means you've made it. You've made it means you've made it. It's different. Like, you need to get your content and build a platform first before you should really start focusing on working with brands. I know it's very exciting, especially at a Workbench Con type of place where you're seeing all these people, and there's a lot of larger accounts who are working with brands and stuff. But I would really encourage people who are getting into this or growing a channel, and I'm doing that with YouTube right now, to focus your energy on creating your brand identity yourself, not your identity with brands, but what your channel and your platform is about, and not really worry right off the get about how you're going to work with brands. It really shouldn't be like top priority. You really need to focus on making like good content. I think that's the most important thing, is good content, not just like
kind of
making content towards brands. It's like cart before the horse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or a field of dreams type situation. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's just
cornfields, baseball, Nebraska.
It was just crazy. It wasn't crazy. I understand the excitement, but really focus on making your channels or whatever, your channel, your platform, your page, your whatever it is first before you worry about that stuff. What was the question that Kimani asked? I forgot.
Oh, the biggest insight from Workbench.
Oh, biggest insight. Okay, so biggest insight for me, again, back to YouTube, is how to utilize thumbnails, how poorly I'm doing that, and titles. I mean, we had Eric on last episode before we took the break, and actually, I want to read this, and this is not a dog on Eric, and I hope I'm actually going to tell Eric we read this, but someone called in a question, and gosh dang it, did I delete it? Someone called in a question.
Did they call in or write it in?
They wrote it in. I'm sorry.
It was like a rebuttal, or
you know what? We deleted it, or I deleted it, or something. It's gone. But either way, basically the crux of the email was saying, "Hey, I used to watch Eric's content. I loved his channel. I loved his approach to using 3 tools to attack a project. It was really good as a beginning woodworker. I loved it. Blah blah blah. Fast forward." Basically, the person was saying that now they find no value in Eric's content because they don't understand because none of the titles of his videos have anything to do with what you can't tell what the video is about, because Eric's using titles as sort of a clickbaity way to get people in.
But overall, it is working for Eric. But he did probably disappoint one or 2 people. Yeah.
Right. That's the point I'm going to make. And it's like,
okay,
you have to think about, like, I'm not agreeing with that person. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. The bottom line is you need to create a platform or channel or page or whatever your social thing is where you have a core audience, and you need to decide what that is. Eric tried to have the woodworker and DIY, like entry-level woodworking stuff, work for him for, like, I think he was doing it for 3 years.
Yeah. Did it for a long time.
And it just never hit for him. So then he just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to try this thing. I've been doing this thing for years and it never worked for him. Well, now he's like, I'm going to try this thing, and it is working for him. And however you feel about that, for me as a content creator, it's like really easy to be like, nightstand build, and then push this video live, because it's what it is. It's a nightstand build. That's super easy. That's the problem I have with my channel. This works back to me, not necessarily about the criticism about Eric, because at the end of the day, I ultimately believe that Eric has a YouTube channel. He wants that channel to be successful, and he wants to put all his energy into that and have it do well. And he found the way that works for him, which is having the titles he has and using thumbs the way he is. So ultimately, we all want to grow the thing we're building, and Eric found a way to do that. For me, I hope that I can have a little bit. I don't want to keep saying the word clickbaity, but I guess with Eric's titles, they're more of like a heavy hook. Is that more politically correct saying? His titles have a heavy hook. I
think Eric would even agree with that. I mean, he even said it.
I mean it in the least negative way possible. Like, absolutely. I don't want my titles to be that clickbaity, but I'm going to be really honest. If that's what I need to do to grow my YouTube channel, I'm going to do that. I think his are skewed a bit too far this way for me. And I'm hoping I won't need to go that territory for like my time. Basically what I'm saying is, the way I've approached YouTube, the biggest thing I took away was that I'm doing it wrong, and I've been doing it wrong for years now. And now that I'm really putting my energy into it, I want to do it right. And I had the opportunity because of Workbench Con to learn from people who already know. And that's the best part about this thing, is we have this collective knowledge that we can pull from, and it's amazing. So that was my big takeaway there, is every time I go there, I'm like, man, you get to learn so much stuff, and it costs a lot of money to go there, but you get to learn the value you get out of it is worth way more than the cost of Workbench Con. And that's the takeaway I wanted to say. This next one's from Malcolm in the middle.
Hey guys, it's Malcolm at Bossa Nova Woodworks, and I gotta say, it was awesome meeting all 3 of you at Workbench Con. I managed to get a picture with Pete and Emma, and I got a picture with Dan. I didn't get a picture with Mike, but I think that's okay, because I'm not sure there's room for me, Mike, and his beard in the same photo.
Put the beard in the middle.
Anyway, my question this week is about international shipping. You may have covered this before. I've gone back through the archives, and I'm on episode 20. I haven't made it far enough, but I'm struggling with international shipping. Should I offer that? Are there select countries that I should avoid, or just a few countries outside of the US that I should ship to? What has been your experience? Or just post the podcast number that I should be looking for? Thanks.
you guys will have. He was talking specifically about Etsy, right?
I think he's just generally asking
International
about
shipping. Yeah.
international
Well,
shipping,
Pete-
but that's
Pete, go first.
Oh, so, my main advice is like when I used to ship internationally is I only did US and Canada because that was the easiest and I knew what shipping in Canada cost and I could just work that into my thing and it was pretty much always the same for the same or similar weight items. But honestly, like depending on what you have, figure out, just pick an address. Like we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Like how do you figure out your shipping? Like pick the furthest point in the US from where you live and you get US shipping, worst case scenario rate. Do the same thing. Pick Australia, pick South Africa, pick Russia, pick Poland, whatever. Just click on Google Maps on an address and just do a fake shipping to it. You don't have to buy the thing, just see what the price is. You can do it through Pirate Ship and through the USPS site, but don't go through that. Go through Pirate Ship, ShipNerd, whatever thing you're using. And that'll give you your worst case scenario rate. You will be like, it'll blow your mind what people are willing to pay for your items to ship internationally. I've sold a $7 item and people have paid $35 for shipping. Like they'll pay for it. I've shipped to Japan, Australia. I'm pretty much all over the world. Every single continent I've shipped something to, except Antarctica, not yet.
I just shipped a couple inserts to Japan 2 days ago.
So like, figure out your worst case scenario. Now, if you have a lot of items at different weights, you know, it's gonna be a little harder, but maybe put in the work one afternoon, just different weights, different size boxes, and figure out what your worst case scenario is going to be. And honestly, like for my even the light items for the shipping, it's $25 flat rate per item. So if you buy one item from me, whether it's $7 or $50, the shipping is going to be, you know, for the 3D printed stuff because it's lighter, it's $25 for every additional item you buy on Etsy, and this is all on Etsy. It's $10 more. So there's times that people will buy a couple items and like to go from one item to two items, the weight doesn't change that much. Well, I'm actually like, it's been rare that I lose money on shipping. Most cases, I'll actually earn a couple of dollars on the shipping. So it'll cost me $27 instead of the 35. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just keep the difference, you know, but then there's other times that it cuts it real close to the amount. But I did my research. I figured out what the worst case scenario is going to be. And that allowed me to make money while still shipping internationally. Just be warned that, occasionally things get lost, but Etsy, at least for items that are under $250, they will, if a customer's thing is ever lost, I had something shipped to Italy, got lost, did not get delivered. They went through they put a claim in against me, but Etsy handles that. They noticed that it was lost, that it's been in transit or about to be delivered for 3 weeks. And they just gave the person their money back without charging me. So, and it doesn't count against you in any way. So if a customer ever, you know, the thing gets lost, just tell them like, please file a claim that it's lost and Etsy will handle it. Under $250, I think that's their cutoff. But that's a really nice little protection for both the seller and the buyer. So that's my 2 cents on it. Dan?
I'm just going to mimic everything Pete said because all of my international shipping is done through Etsy.
Yep.
It's also, I only do small items for global shipping, like international obviously can be Canada too. I won't ship larger pieces to anywhere other than the US and Canada. But all the smaller stuff I do, like any of the inserts, any of the bow ties, I do the same as Pete. I charge a flat rate. I think my flat rate, I just changed it to $35 just because. And it's an additional $15 for any other item. So I shipped something to Japan. They bought 2 inserts and they ended up spending like $150. So, hey man, if they're willing to pay it, cool.
Yep.
If not, I'm sure there's some dude in Japan making inserts. They could find somebody locally, maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
That's what I do.
And
Mike,
also, sorry, just 2 cents on that. You can change your shipping profile on Etsy too. Like for me, it's free US. Canada is $10 and $3 for additional items. Everywhere else, it's how they list it.
Yeah.
Or you can go specifically. You can have like 10 different profiles or 10 different countries within one profile with different prices on it, if you know what the prices are. So keep that in mind if you want to favor some countries over others, especially if you're in Europe and maybe shipping to local countries is a little cheaper. But do your research. Mike, any additional thoughts?
I kind of have just had multiple issues with shipping internationally because I don't really ship really small things. So I've had some small things go fine. I've had other issues with things, so I just kind of avoid it, honestly. I'm not
It can be a bit of a headache.
I'm not like I'm not of the mind that like there's any I don't sell volume. And when I do, it's in a contract with a customer that's in the United States. So like for me, like selling as many things as I can is just isn't my business. I want to sell as few things at the highest prices I can. So for me, like coordinating shipping and all that stuff isn't something that I need to do to make my business make sense. So for me, I haven't had a need to do international shipping except for when I was like really trying to do Etsy. And that was like one of the things with Etsy where I was like, I just don't care. So it doesn't make sense for me. So I don't have the good advice like Pete and Dan does. I do know that I've shipped there a few times. I'd say like 50% of the time it went just fine. I covered my money. The rate that Etsy told me to charge or get paid or whatever was good. And then yeah,
that's right. They do suggest
the other times the other times that I didn't where it didn't go well, it ended up costing me like 3 times as much, and there was all these headaches, and it was just time suck. It was a total time suck. That's all it was. So anyways, that's where I'm at with that.
And then there's a language barrier too. Sometimes
Dan and Pete, they know.
Language barrier can be a pain in the rear.
Pain in the rear. Google Translate is your friend and worst enemy.
True. Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah. So no, that's actually it for questions. Let's why don't you what you guys want to talk about what's on our bench, or do you want to do a quick like Workbench Con recap?
Let's do a little womb real fast.
Womb. All right. Well, how about this then?
What's on my bench?
Piot. Hello.
What you got on your bench?
Geez. Came back from Workbench Con. Realized halfway. Well, let me start with, I guess, from last week. We left for Workbench Con. Bless you, Dan. Dan just sneezed. Nice looking in his hand, figuring out if there's a booger in it.
No, I was looking at my mic. I was like, did I shut that off, right?
So we left for Workbench Con Saturday morning because we're driving straight down to Nashville, Tennessee. So we drove down 81, and it was about 13 hours. We got in. We actually gained an hour, so we got in at like 12:30. Crashed that night, and the next morning we were hanging out with our friends Brett and Bethany. Bethany from Crafts with Bethany and Brett from BMR Woodworking. So we hung out with them. Even more awesome than I imagined. That we've known them, Dan, I think, from the Clubhouse days back when like this whole.
That's where they met and got engaged.
They met on Clubhouse, and then he moved down there.
They're writing a book. It's going to turn into a Hallmark movie.
Sorry, who did?
Bethany and Brett. They met on Clubhouse, and then like we all like were friends together. And now they're engaged. That's crazy. So
it's going to be a Hallmark movie.
Hallmark movie, yeah,
coming out in the fall.
So I had a blast with them and just hanging out. We got to see Nashville. They took us around, got some hot chicken, went to see, the what do they call it? Broadway, I guess, their main strip in Nashville where all the bars are. It was a lot of fun, And let me just say, the bridal or bachelorette party industry down in Nashville is bonkers. There was so many bachelorette parties going around. Apparently that's their Vegas, guys. In case you're wondering. So from there, we drove down about 3.5 hours to Fort Payne, Alabama, and then in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains. Our friends from Jersey, they moved down there, and they're big into climbing. So there's a big climbing community down there. And
it's your video. So you put that secret tunnel in one of your videos. I had that in my head all weekend at Workbench.
At one point, they're like, "You guys want to go on like a little hike? It's just like down the street. We'll show you one of the crags we climb at." We're like, "Yeah, sure." And then they take us through this like secret tunnel of like you literally were just like sliding down these rocks and you're getting pinched. And another time they took us from that spot. We go to another location.
You say you're getting pinched?
Oh, we're getting pinched. But they're like, are you guys claustrophobic? And we're like, no. But like, where are we going? They're like, well, we're just gonna cut through this, and you guys will see inside the mountain where we like around where we climb. And we're going through this section where literally my back and my belly is like scratching up against the wall. I'm like, this is where I get stuck. This is where I die. And then we're like,
you see that movie where the guy had to gnaw off his arm to get out?
Yeah, I was gonna have to gnaw off my belly to get out of there. Just like stuck in the center.
You can do that?
Hold on, I'll be right back. I got something
The
to say.
highlight of that part of the trip was our friends Tanya and Elvis bought
Wait,
a bus.
Elvis?
Elvis, yes, that guy.
He wasn't in Nashville?
Don't tell the government that's where he's at.
Okay.
So they bought a school bus in Jersey. They drove it down to Alabama, put it on the property. So they have a property, and then they bought a bunch of land next to them. They put it on that property. They put it on like pillars, so it's just standing there. It's not moving. Put a second floor on it. Built an addition on the back. There's a full bathroom. It's hooked up to city water power. This school bus was so awesome. This was
That
like
was
one of my
awesome.
favorites.
But question,
That
Yes.
looks really cool.
are you sure they didn't just drive it until it couldn't drive anymore and then they just found themselves in Alabama?
No, because they were telling
I
us
guess
all
this
the
is where we're
stories.
camping.
They were already in Alabama, but they told us all the stories of trying to get it to the spot it was in, because like they're up in the mountains and it's like a dirt gravel road to get there. Like their property backs up to like old cotton fields. Like, yeah, it's like real south, guys, real south. So this cabin, it's because basically a cabin, it's gorgeous. Two stories, plenty of room in there, super comfortable. It's hooked up to city water and power, so it's had better water pressure than my house. And I'm just super proud of what they've done with it. If you want to see the video of it, it's on my Instagram. We did like a little promotional video for them, basically just of the whole thing, showing it off, because it's an Airbnb. They actually rent it out. And from us staying there, apparently they got a couple listings. So we're very happy to, including Brett and Bethany, they got a weekend there. So
Oh, nice.
good on that.
Nice.
I mean, they're booked out. This is in the middle of nowhere. They don't even have Wi-Fi at the place. They're booked out almost entirely through August.
But they got
Wow.
DVDs.
They got DVDs. Yeah.
Who needs Wi-Fi when you got DVDs?
Oh, we watched the Italian
DVDs.
Job.
You
on
can
the
bring your
DVD.
AOL DVD. Boom.
Oh
The
yeah,
eye job.
so nice. We actually sent them. This is super dumb, but I'm gonna tell the story. One of the places they took us where they climb was where the rock climbing scene from Failure to Launch was filmed. So we sent them the DVD Failure to Launch. It was all $5 on Amazon. And why not? But anyways, from there we drove to Atlanta, Workbench Con. We pretty much talked about it. And since I got back from Workbench Con, we've been extra fired up. We've been writing our emails and thank yous to everyone that we met. Had a lot of really good conversations with brands and the reps for them. So like we've been trying to connect with all of them and figuring out some stuff for this year. But Emma and I are really fired up. She unfortunately was not feeling well yesterday. Today she tested positive for COVID, so we're separated.
I think
a little
Mike
bit.
and Emma were kissing the same
They were
person.
open mouth hugging.
They were both kissing patient
everyone.
zero, which may have been Eric Curtis. I don't know.
I
It's
want
a
to know
working theory.
who the person was that like got everyone sick. But
Honestly,
whatever,
I think my theory is that like I got it on the plane in.
yeah,
because
Emma could have
I'm-
gotten
and
it
then
from
I'm-
her kids. She teaches dance, so
I think I got it from my plane in because I mean it's like 5 days, right?
yeah, something like that.
I mean it's like isn't it 5 days? I
Who
don't know.
knows? Like it's whatever. We're
I'm
vaccinated.
not a
so it's
COVID
not the-
scientist.
Yeah, we're hot vaxxed and waxed, so we're good. But
Loaded up.
It's just been it's cutting board season now. As you guys know, I build cutting boards once, twice a year, and I'm basically ripping down every piece of scrap that I have laying around, and we're gonna turn it into boards, and then I don't have to do it for the rest of the year because we have a show in 2.5 weeks. I'm not panicked. Yeah, 2.5 weeks. I gotta make a bunch of stuff for that, so that's gonna be exciting. But just excited to be working with them and listing some stuff and getting some projects ready for this event. Mike, what's up with you?
I've got COVID. So it's been a real big bummer for me coming back to having COVID. Like I was really excited to come back and work in the shop. And I can't. So I've been doing a lot of administrative stuff. And man, you'd think that 4 days of administrative work I'd be caught up, and I'm just not even close. It's just ridiculous how much stuff there is to do all the time.
2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah, it's just like I've been getting emails out, and talking to customers and taking care of spreadsheets for my big customers and getting emails out to brands. And I've been doing all this stuff, and it's just like, man, I mean, this stuff is part of what I do. It's my job, and it's like I get to do it, and I'm really thankful for it. But I really just want to be in my shop making my chairs really bad and make my new dining table. And you know, I designed this man, I'll get away from woe is me on COVID. I designed this. I've been using this program called Mosaic. I've had it for a few months. I was playing with it a few months back, not giving it the proper time. I took a training. Me and my guys took a training with Mosaic. It's part of your subscription. Took an 1.5-hour class. They gave us a lot of the basics. Crash course this and that was really great. I've been just designing cabinets and stuff, just getting used to stuff. I ordered a bunch of plywood just so we could play with 3/4 inch plywood to cut up and make different cabinets and stuff. It's such an amazing. Must
be nice to have 3/4 inch plywood money. You can just play with plywood.
Whoa.
It was just really fun. I mean, pre-finished plywood too. No bigs. No, it's like $60 a sheet. I've just been designing stuff and cutting out stuff and trying to think. But I designed this cabinet for my Shaper Origin accessories. And I was going to do a video on it. And anyway, this whole thing. But I need it. It's taken too long to get the video going. So I just need the Origin accessories on the wall because they're just all over the place. But this is what's crazy about technology. And I designed this file or this cabinet for the Origin, and the design doesn't really matter, but I shot the G code to a file in the server. So I couldn't give it to Matt on a thumb drive because I have COVID. I put it in our server that we use for the business. And I text Matt and say, hey, it's in there. Here's where it's located. He downloads the G code onto the thumb drive, puts it in the CNC, loads up the file, cuts out the sheet. He can look, because it's so intuitive. He was able to assemble the whole thing and glue it up. Like the joinery, the CNC cut all the joinery. It's all blind dados, the whole thing. It's amazing. Like the joinery is so tight and everything came together. Matt doesn't have any woodworking experience. He was able to assemble this cabinet, glue it all up and get it together for me. And then he put all the face frame on. I just told him, hey, I want 1.5-inch face frame all around this thing. He did the whole thing. He did a killer job just from like absorbing Sean and I in the shop and all these things. It just really blew me away that Matt was able to assemble this Shaper Origin cabinet and cut all the parts. It just really is cool to me.
Was that the cabinet, the picture that you shared with Pete and I yesterday?
No, that's a vanity. That's a bathroom vanity. That was the first thing we cut out on Mosaic, where I was like, oh, this is really good software. Like, this is crazy. Okay. So I've cut out several cabinets since then. That cabinet we actually assembled with pocket holes, and that's a mistake because the joinery, the tool pathing joinery that this software makes is unbelievable. Everything just snaps together perfectly with this blind dados. It's unreal. It's so crazy, dude. Like I want to do a video of it and show you guys. It's so cool. But anyways, I just think that like the technology is just unreal with some of these things, especially like for production shops. It's amazing you can actually have people who don't do this for a living and then they can understand it. It's so plain and obvious what's going on that they're able to put it together and make it happen. It's really neat. I just think it's really cool.
It's like a 3D puzzle.
Right. It's a 3D puzzle. He was able to look at like the diagram I sent him and put it all together without any labels or anything. So that was really rad. So
I've been seeing Mosaic at a lot of places. They're including it with Laguna CNCs now. People are getting VCarve Pro and Mosaic as a bundle with it.
It's like honestly, like it's $150
it's not new,
a month,
though, right?
And they're under. No, it's been around.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's $150 a month. They're way undercharging. Like it's such a great piece of software. Like it's incredible. Like if I am very confident that in a few months of us doing this, I could very easily do full kitchen build outs. Anything in a home we can do, and I'm really excited about that possibility. So we're just slapping stuff together with it now. So that's neat to add that to the business. Yeah, just slappity doo-dah. No, so we got I haven't really been in the shop, but we're finishing up. I actually did have to spray a countertop today. Sean did the first 3 coats. I finished the last coat. We're hopefully, if I pop negative COVID tomorrow, we're going to deliver that. It's a 55-inch wide by 123-inch long, 1.5-inch thick white oak countertop. It is a monster. 3 of us can barely move it. That's going to go home. We'll start spraying the vanity, which is a white oak vanity. That'll hopefully, I can have that done on Monday, I think. Tuesday next week, the guys are going down to San Francisco. They got to go do an install in San Francisco. So I got Peter coming on Tuesday. So we're going to film our next YouTube video. And we'll have another YouTube video out coming out on Tuesday as well. So we released another video last week before we left to Workbench Con. I'm all kind of jumbled on. Yes, last week before we went to left Workbench Con, and that video bombed really bad.
5 ways to cut off your thumb on your bandsaw.
Exactly. 5 bandsaw.
Like that.
It was like a jigs video for bandsaws, and we were like, it's gonna do well, and it just didn't. It didn't do well. So it's one of those things where like there's no story. There's no story. So the video, I think that's really what hurt that video, is there's just no story behind it. So we're learning our way through the YouTube thing. We'll figure it out soon. But anyway, that's what's going on. Sorry, I'm a little bit like all over the place. I have COVID.
You have COVID brain.
So I got COVID brain, really bad.
I also have COVID brain.
But no COVID. It's weird.
I have COVID brain and no COVID.
What's on your bench?
Everybody's gonna be shocked. I do a lot of Etsy orders.
What?
However, it's weird. It's weird how things go in waves. I thought over the holidays we would sell a bunch of cutting boards. Well, we didn't. Shocker. Well, I've been selling a bunch of cutting boards, and I listed all those cutting boards on Etsy, but now I'm getting people that say, hey, I like this board, but can we change this or that? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'll have to create a second custom listing for you because I can't modify the current board. So I've been selling a lot of cutting boards. I've sold maybe 10 custom cutting boards.
Wow, very nice. What are you customizing on them?
They're just, they like the boards that I have, but they just kind of want maybe something bigger, or they want like a personalization on it or something. So that's what I've been doing. You know, aside from the 25 slide tables I need to make, which I am wicked behind on.
25?
Wicked behind. Yeah. Well,
25 of those tables?
I sold 25 of them total since that video popped off. I have shipped out 5.
Oh.
So, but on Etsy, I have a 30-day lead time on there. So,
okay.
I'm not hurting yet. Although going to Florida tomorrow is probably not in my best interest, but I don't have a choice. Aside from that, I'm still kind of working on the farmhouse table. I'm not basically that. I put the top together, and it's basically just become like a makeshift workstation where I just kind of lay all my tools. So I need to get back to working on that. And one of my good friends, he's not a woodworker. He is a photographer. I met him in the photography world, and we've remained very good friends. He's also a new homeowner for the first time, and so he's wanting to get into the DIY and do things himself. He's like very into it, and I'm like, hey man, I'm here to help. I got whatever you need. If you need anything, you let me know. So he went and bought some hickory wood flooring, and he wanted to turn it into a butcher block like bench.
I remember. Sorry,
Right?
I just remember the video.
He wanted to turn it into a butcher block bench. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He goes, yeah, so I got it all glued up, but it's not exactly flat. Do you have something that could help me flatten it out? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We can run it through my drum sander. We can run it through the planer, or, worst case scenario, we put it on the CNC and flatten it out. So he brings it over, and I got my saw horses out, and I'm ready to put, he's got 2 slabs. I think they're about 18 inches wide by, we'll say 56 inches long. And as soon as I grabbed this thing out of his hands and put it on the saw horses, I'm like, oh no. You could just feel that it's not glued properly. So I'm trying to explain this to him, and you could just see the life leaving his face, because he spent a lot of time gluing this up. He's like, well, I use Gorilla Glue. I'm like, yeah, well, okay, here's your problem. So he bought this flooring, and it was finished on 2 sides, and one side had stain and finish, and the bottom side only had finish. He didn't remove any of the finish.
Ooh.
It had, polyurethane on it. So I was showing him that, so he had glue seeped over on the side on the edge of one of the pieces, and I had it standing up on the sawhorses so I could scrape it. I'm like, look how easily this glue comes off. And as I scrape it, I bumped it, and it just toppled over off the sawhorses and hit the cement floor in my shop, and it exploded like it had been dipped in nitroglycerin or whatever.
nitrogen.
I
Liquid
was not
nitrogen.
expecting it to like. It literally exploded. It didn't like
just-
break apart. It's like
and just like
it's so weird.
so that happened off camera, and like you could tell he wanted to cry, and I was like, I was that's kind of what I was trying to tell you. I didn't want to demonstrate it, but now that it happened, we should film the other one and make a video out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had 2 of them. The first one, I really wish I would have got that first one on video, because the way it exploded was just, it was like a piece of sheet glass hitting the ground. And you know, have you ever seen that, like where the glass hits the ground perfectly flat and it just kind of like, it was like that. It would have been the best video, but we did the second one. I made a reel out of it. It was fun. He learned a valuable lesson. And then I was like, okay, now you got to break it all apart one by one and run them through the drum sander.
Oh
So
my God.
he
I
did
just
that while
watched
I worked
something. I'm
on my
watching the
other
video.
projects.
Sorry, I'm watching the video because I wanted to see it again. And I noticed he didn't even like plane the bottom side, because you know flooring always has the little grooves for airflow. Or
Yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah.
So he glued up whatever sections of wood he had left.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Poor guy. He learned a valuable lesson that day. And it made for good content. I'm actually
Yeah.
a little bummed because we've been talking about how like Instagram
Like,
is just terrible.
oh, he's not.
We've
saw
been
this.
talking about
Oh, yeah.
Instagram is just terrible and like our views are down. I thought that video would have done great.
I thought it would blow up.
It's only got like 5,000 views.
Ugh.
What the heck is wrong?
You got more
Anyway.
views on your titty butt plug that you got.
Well, you know, there are boobies there, so there's that. Anyway,
Sorry.
I feel like I'm missing something, but I can't think of anything right now. My brain is a mush. So I think that's it for what's on my bench.
So
Did I go
wait.
last?
Yeah.
did.
Since I brought up the thing from Titty Nick,
Titty
Nick
Nick.
Birch told, guess what's in my house right now?
Oh, that's right.
I have the mallet,
The maker mallet.
the maker mallet.
Oh,
with-
nice.
Yeah, it's in my house.
How many
and
times have you
drug Dave?
shoved it up your rear end?
It's just a handle. I can't can't do the whole thing. But I take it out like once every 2 days just to be like,
So what are you doing with it? Are you going to give it to Dave?
yeah, Dave and I are going to meet up at some point. I'm going to be going into the city in 2 weeks, so I might just from
You're the
Manhattan
Malcolm and the
drive
middleman?
over- Yeah. So I'll drive over to Long Island and drop it off and see his shop.
Long Island?
Long Island. It's a thing. Or he's gonna come out. So we're basically, I'm either gonna go to his shop or he's gonna come to my shop, and gonna make a day out of it or an evening out of it.
Share COVID with one another?
Yeah, it just
got you.
it's still like holding this thing is what he did. Like that mallet is absolutely incredible. I cannot believe the detail.
That mallet is substantial.
Yeah, it's a work of art. It's
I'm
literally a work of art.
texting you guys the show title.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Long,
Long-
Long Guy Land.
That's long. I thought you were gonna put in Long Guy.
No,
I like it.
Long Guy Land.
That's where the long guys live.
So I guess we
Oh,
have to
no.
talk about our new mowers, so that makes sense.
Greenworks. This episode brought to you by Greenworks.
Hey, Greenworks people, reach out.
Batteries just keep getting bigger.
So
Um,
I guess that's for what's on our benches. You
Yeah.
guys want to do a little WBC wrap up, or how you
I
feeling?
think we kind of did.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
I feel like we
really
did too. That's kind of what I was
think
it
we
was
did
a
a
lot
good-
of fun.
yeah.
I feel hella motivated. I feel like it was a good week.
I feel motivated, but I'm going to lose it now that I'm leaving. We're going to Orlando tomorrow. We're recording this on Thursday. We're leaving at noon tomorrow to drive to Orlando from Nebraska. That's so stupid. Who does that?
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta say though,
Well,
I
let's
kind of
stop
missed
it.
you guys because we're usually like inseparable at these events. I think this is the first time that the three of us, my voice cracked because I'm growing up. It's the first time
Big
that
boy
we all
pants.
kind of just split up.
Well,
Dan
we
and I
are
hung out a little
adults
more.
now.
Yeah, but we
We're
all
grown-up
kind of just like
adults
did our
now.
own thing. But yeah, it was
I saw you quite a bit, but
yeah. Mike's just too cool for us. He's
yeah.
hanging out. With
I
the
had a
big
lot of
league.
people ask me, "Hey, where's Mike?" I'm like, I have no idea. He's doing his own thing.
He's
I
over
was
here.
there the whole time.
I know you are.
Like, I was there the whole time. There was like a day where I did leave too many times for lunch, but like other than that, I was there. It was
Last
just,
year that we were literally like attached at the hip at the event. But it was good to
were
like
there-
spread
we were-
out.
A
You know?
brand had us doing their garbage last year, and then
Also, that's true.
Oh,
you know, I mean, it's like
Jeez.
also like we all have like our own groups and stuff too. Like,
Yeah.
it's good. It's a good thing. Like, we just have our group. You know, I mean, it's good. But
No, it
yeah, I
was
think we
nice to,
kind of
like,
did our
spread out.
recap. I don't think we need to go deeper into it. I mean, it's a good event. I'm like I know earlier, like a few times throughout the year, I was like, I don't know if I'll go. I'm actually pretty certain I won't go next year, to be very honest. I just don't.
I'll
see
believe that
myself
when I
going.
see it.
Yeah, he'll be there. He'll be there. He'll probably be honestly.
I'm
I think I was
100%
feeling.
gonna
I
be
was
I'll put
feeling it.
$5 on the fact that he's speaking next week, or next week,
I don't know if I'm speaking, then
Yeah.
I will go.
Mike's teaching a class.
Obviously,
He just
but like
confirmed it.
if I won't teach a class, but well, if I'm involved in it somehow, then yeah, that's different. But like if I'm not involved in it, I probably, even towards the end, I was like, this is a lot. Like, it's a lot.
Oh, it is a lot.
It's just
absolutely
a
a
lot.
lot.
Like, and I'm just like, honestly, like I'm finding myself being more and more burned out with big groups of stuff, and that is a big group of stuff. Like, that is a lot of like people.
Well, they
like,
sold
definitely
out
not
tickets
that many
this year,
days.
so they sold out tickets, so there was at least 500 plus people there, right?
I have my theories about all that too, and I'll talk about that after we get done here. I have especially with the email we saw the day afterwards. I'll talk to you guys about that here in a second. Anyways, yeah, that's the episode. Dan will be gone next week. But Pete and I will be here. We will probably wrangle someone in here to join us. We may
poor
not, though.
soul.
I don't know. Pete and I have never done an episode together by ourselves, so I think it'd be kind of fun to do. So
haven't we?
no,
You may have done an Instagram live. I don't think you've
Oh, maybe
done
I
it.
don't know. If not,
doesn't matter. Either way, we'll figure it out.
Maleki's
We'll let
on
you
the
guys know.
bench. He's ready to go. He's warmed
One
up.
way or another, I'm going to call
It's kind of
in
his
with
thing, being on the
a
bench.
character. So
Oh no, you have to call in, Dan. If you're not going to be here, you have
Florida
to call
Dan. I'm going to wear a Hawaiian
Florida
shirt and
Dan.
overalls.
Florida Dan.
DeSantis 2024.
Oh, shut
No,
up.
we'll be
I'll
back
quit.
next. We'll be back next week. We'll be
Go
back
Gators!
Next week.
I'll call you from
we will,
inside of a
be back
gator's
next week.
belly. I got eaten.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
That's a
ludicrous.
terrible joke. Okay.
Anyways, we'll be here next week. Minus a Dunlap. Maybe someone else will be here. We don't know. It'll be a
Plus
show next week. though.
Johnson.
Keith is coming.
No, I was actually talking about that was a penis joke. Didn't realize.
Thanks, guys. We'll
A
see you next time.
penis?
Thanks for starting the show.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Make sure to
thank
subscribe
you.
Patreon, support
Thanks
the show.
Go check out
Yeah, bye.
You'll get great content like this. Okay, bye. All right.
Love you long time.
Bye.
Bye.